contemplating right now is, do I run any danger of allowing a draw if I go knight c4 check, bishop takes c4, king takes c4, king e5? Because the nightmare for white would be that, for example, the black king suddenly gets to go to f3 and maybe g2 or whatnot, and change pawns or even take pawns. So, for example, a move like f3 would be logical here. But it looks like WESLEY decided to not even really bother having to calculate this, and I think I see on the screen he played knight c3. So just attacking this bishop. Actually, the bishop is forced to a very awkward square unless it goes to b5, because only g4 and h5 are available, and b5 clearly isn't very attractive because I'm just going to take it, and that should be an easy win. So bishop to g4, I expect. Maybe then WESLEY somehow wants to gain, he wants to get closer to that pawn. Or he's thinking about distracting the bishop even further to like h5 or h3. But the position still looks really winning. Bishop to h5 was played. And Harry's still struggling, or still trying to struggle a little
bit. We have a tweet from Susan Polgar, former women's world champion, and of course, one of the famous Polgar sisters. With Elyanov losing, so can be in solid after this round. This is what we were also talking about. It's nice to see her tweeting about the tournament.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. WESLEY, again, I think he's an amazing player, but it has to be said he was a little bit lucky this tournament. But there's a good reason that I picked him as the tournament winner, and you need to have a lot of faith in someone if you pick them above Magnus Carlsen, right? So he's just like Jan Nepomniachtchi, in my opinion, one of the players who had an amazing year in 2016, whereas Jan kind of, to me, showed that he's now part of this like elite group and qualifying for the Grand Chess Tour and so on. WESLEY just won the Grand Chess Tour.
Exactly. And he didn't just win it like by luck. He won 2 super tournaments, the 2 classical ones, basically.
Exactly. So WESLEY is really establishing himself right now, to me, kind of as a number 2, number 3, where he's kind of battling it out with Fabiano, and of course Magnus still being in the undisputed number 1. The reason I thought WESLEY's going to do well in this tournament is because if I think about beating somewhat lower rated players, and maybe in general the tournaments he's been playing, he's been going to like these Grand Chess Tour events, and also he more recently played events where you're beating lower rated opponents, like for example the Olympiads.
Yeah, board 3 for the Olympiad.
Yeah, whereas Magnus came right off the match, basically. Of course he played the World Rapid and World Blitz, but he had a completely different kind of chess that he had to work on recently than WESLEY. And I think the kind of chess WESLEY was working on like what kind of openings do I pick against certain opponents, and a little bit more risky, that suits Vaikanze better, where you do need a fairly high plus score in order to win the event, especially in the last year. So that's why I thought WESLEY might have a very good chance, not because head-to-head against Magnus he's going to beat him necessarily.
Yes, now that was a very solid draw in round 1, so he didn't aim for beating Magnus Carlsen, but as you said, he's very well prepared for playing against the lower-rated players. What score do you think is enough for winning this year, the Masters? How big a plus?
I actually would like to know how much it was last year, but I feel that it was almost in the range of +5 or something like that.
I think it was about that. I don't remember exactly if it was +4 or +5.
I feel like it was Magnus and WESLEY, if I'm not mistaken. I might be off completely here, who were really putting in enormous scores. So I think +5, that range which is really a lot. I mean, we just saw Elyanov make this huge run. He's at +3, and then he would even have to get a higher score. Right?
I think we need glasses for reading last year's standings. Magnus Carlsen was, of course, the champion. We know that he has won 5 times, which is a record, together with Vishianen. So I'm sure he wants to get this 6th win and say that I'm the only one in 79 years of Tata Steel chess history.
Yeah.
Carlsen won with 9 out of 13. That's plus. I'm so bad at maths. Can you help me?
That's +5, right?
+5. We didn't get it. So Rong and Caruana and Dingliren were second, shared second.
8 out of 13. So yeah, around +5, maybe +4 could be enough. But Definitely huge court. So and yeah, there's two ways of doing it. It's either winning a huge amount of games and losing some, kind of like Aljanov, he's still very much in the running. Or what Magnus tends to do is he doesn't lose a game, but he kind of has a lot of draws, and then at some point he makes a streak, right? Like very often Magnus wins 2-3 games in a row. So,
it's interesting that so far what he has done was drawing his black game and winning with the white pieces. It's not like his usual strategy. He wants to win with no matter what color he has. It's just this is how it turned out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so here we see Harry, F4 was played. I think he's considering to resign right now. He doesn't look...
No, I think he's
actually,
just
no, sort of. He's played...
He played something?
King D7,
I thought he wanted to resign, basically waiting for Wesley to sit down. Chris Bird has tweeted, looks like Wesley So is going to leapfrog to the top of Tata Steel chess standings after 5 rounds, continuing his great run he started in 2016. And that, I think it will be the 48th game that he does not lose, if I'm correct. I lost count. You know who has the longest streak of not losing games?
I think it's Wang Yu. I imagine it is.
From the modern players, yes, but we were discussing this with Yasser, so I have an extra information that you don't, and we were so surprised that the one who has the longest ever undefeated streak is called Mikhail Tal.
Really? Okay,
and with
I would
his
have never
playing
guessed.
style, it's like he went undefeated for 95 games.
That's crazy.
Just going sharp in every game and not losing, I think that's incredible because Vladimir Kramnik also has and Wang Yue, but their playing style is more solid.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wang Yue, I think it was like over 80 games, but he has a super solid style. So there's like, okay, sort of imagine it. Of course, that's the last world champion pretty much that you'd guess would go on such a long non-losing streak. So. But yeah, we're being informed Tal played extremely solid, around 73, 74 in his career. So,
I think this is still a huge record.
It's still massive, yeah. Okay, I'm expecting King C5. I put it on the board, but Wesley hasn't actually played it yet. Why do I think it should be played? Well, I mean, you just get the king a little closer to the pawn and take more space away from the black king, right? So
step by step, how do you win this endgame? You're a piece up, but you should make sure that your pawns are not exchanged.
Yeah, really what you just want to do is make sure there's not some sort of breakthrough happening on the king side where black might have a chance to trade some pawns. So, if he plays h6, you play h4. If he then tries to somehow get the king to f6, you make sure you, for example, check him and not allow g5 in a normal way. And as soon as, you feel that you're ready, you can just pick this one up, I think.
Yes. Knight a4.
Knight a4.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Yes, I think we should just handle the microphone to our audience, and they are suggesting better moves than we do.
At this point, yes. Okay, so for example, I think it is winning a pawn. Honestly, it's a perfectly legitimate suggestion. I'm getting to play g5, but here you just don't take it. You just move your knight back, and the king really doesn't have any access squares to your pawn. So now you reroute your pieces back to the king side, and you slowly pick it up. So knight a4, that's maybe why he's not playing king c5, because even better to have your knights there. Maybe the way to defend it, in fact, I think it's the only way, is to bring the king to b5. And perhaps that's what Wesley is now briefly calculating. Am I now maybe transferring my knight towards the king side? I don't really think he wants to do that. He just wants to get rid of this pawn. So if king c6 holds on to this pawn, that might be enough of a reason not to play it. So perhaps that is the reason that knight a4 is not the move he will play. But he's still thinking. In the meantime, let's quickly switch over. King to c5. King c5.
It must have been because of the king c6 move.
Yeah, must be. So king c5. I honestly do expect Harikrishna to resign any time now. It really doesn't seem like he has much left to try.
I don't see any tricks. It's not like an objective plan, but not even a trick that White could fall into.
No. Yeah. Still, for the moment, he looks, I guess, like he's about to still think and make a move, but and we're getting some funny statistics over here on other people who are very good at not losing.
Capablanca went 8 years without a loss from 1916 to 1924, including his World Championship match 1921. It's 47 wins and 39 draws. That's also a massive score. Wish I could add up those two numbers. Yeah, don't count on my math skills.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do is quickly go to Richard over here. And we do have a resignation.
So WESLEY So, the new leader of the Tata Steel Masters.
Yes, yeah. WESLEY So, already from the opening, looked like a very good game for him, and it seemed that he managed to increase that advantage steadily. So after a bit of a hiccup against Richie, I call him Richie actually.
Yeah, you can call him Richie. That's the nickname.
I call him Richie.
Hungary as well.
After the hiccup against Richie, this was actually a very good performance. It seemed so. WESLEY really back with the level that we're used to see, and a real legitimate win, so to speak.
Yeah, what he said about that game is that it was a very low quality from his side, and he had to learn from that game.
Yeah.
WESLEY So, of course, always very humble and modest,
extremely humble.
And we hope that we will have him here. Hope that he can join us.
Yeah, that would be great if he could give us a few thoughts about his win today, and being in the leadership position now, how he's feeling. And looks like the players are still analyzing the game among each other a little bit, so might be here in a little later. But
and for those who might not have seen this before or haven't been to so many super tournaments, this is how super grandmasters analyze. They don't move a piece.
Yeah, that's actually what happens very often is they just stay at the board for so long, unless it was so complicated that you need a board, but they just stay around and sit like this. Sometimes 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then they're done analyzing. There's no board needed. They don't need to move the pieces.
Just pointing at squares.
Yeah. And what is much easier analyzing this way is that if you both have the same perception of what were critical moments, then it's just like, oh, what about that moment? What about that moment? And you don't actually have to set up that position. So that's why you see this a lot. And then if it is really interesting, they will probably put it on a board and look at it a little bit deeper. But this is very common practice here.